Hello everybody, Gail here. I hope you're doing well today. I want to thank all of you who have stopped by to visit. Whether you're new or you have been here before, I really appreciate it that you take time out of your busy life. We all have busy lives anymore. And the fact that someone would sit down for a moment and watch my video just means the world to me. I'm very impressed by you guys, so thanks a lot. I'm here today to share my Sam Poole design team project, and I'm so pleased with how this turned out. I think it's absolutely adorable. It is a tag book, and the binding on it was new to me. I watched a couple of tutorial videos over at Share Meredith Collection by the lovely, lovely Meredith. And if you've not visited her YouTube, I highly encourage you to go see the beautiful work that Meredith does. But anyway, she demonstrated how to create a binding without having to sew. And since I didn't really have the time to put into a whole journal, I decided to make this little tag book and just kind of adopt what she showed us for this particular little book. I have wrapped it for closure with some sari ribbon, but this book really doesn't need a closure. I just put it on there because I think it's cute, and whoever gets this can absolutely use it or not. So let's take it off, and I'll show you what I've done. And of course, this is just wrapped around. The digital kits that I used were varied and many. I would say that the bulk of the kits was Sam's French Cottage and her Artsy Floral kit and her journal cards. And then I pulled from a lot of different kits, and most of the time it was usually just maybe one image. So I will list all of that in the description box below, along with Sam's Etsy store link and Sam's YouTube channel. If you have not been to visit, and Sam's Instagram. If you've not been to visit Sam's store or watched any of the journals she's created on her YouTube channel, you're missing out. So take a moment and go check out Sam. She does absolutely beautiful work. Her journals are to die for, and so are her digital kits. Anyway, enough talking. Let me show you. This is the sides, just kind of show you all around the outside. I have used, I've covered the spine with a piece of fabric that I like. I have added a piece of mica at the bottom. It is a pocket. And then I took this photo, or this image. I think it's from Sam's My Collection. I think the number's 5, but don't quote me on that. And I just wanted to make it look like it'd been around a while, so I used some faux age tape, and I dropped a little bit of water on it to kind of give it just a water spot to make it look like it's been around a while, and added some lace. I have stamped the word bloom at the bottom, and this is from one of Sam's stamp collections. And then this is the cover. I'm trying to keep the glare off of the mica. And I treated it just like a tag. I put a hole at the top and a ribbon. It's a seam binding ribbon. But I think you can see the book lays nice without the ribbon around it. So let me tuck that back inside, and we'll open this up and take a look. I put a piece of lace fabric at the top of the page, and then just tucked some of Sam's images in here. This one, this reminds me of my great-grandmother, not so much in the looks, but I have a photo someplace of my great-grandmother and great-grandfather standing very much similar background to this. So maybe it was a thing back then, I don't know, but they were standing in front of a lot of bushes, and here is this beautiful, elegant lady sitting in front of a bunch of very tall bushes. And then I used some texture paste to put these roses on here, and one of Sam's stamps says "In the Garden." And some lace. If you'll notice, Grandma or Great-Grandma has a lace collar on, so I added some lace at the top. And these are just journal cards. And then these two little tykes I thought were adorable. And then I just added some aged ribbon and the word memories. I stamped that on a piece of vintage paper. And I used one of Sam's cabinet cards and put that on the back. And there's still room for journaling there. And then on this image, again, just stamped on a piece of vintage paper. It says, it's either Aunt Nell, I think it's Aunt Nell, or it could be Aunt Nellie spelled with only one L and an E. I'm not sure. I think it's Aunt Nellie, because Nellie sounds like an auntie to me. Over here, I took an envelope and added that to the page, and some polka dotted ribbon at the bottom, and one of Sam's stamps here. And then inside the envelope was blue, so you can still see the color of the envelope here, and I just covered the other areas. And then inside the envelope, I tucked quite a few of Sam's journal cards, she calls them, that kit. And I thought these would be wonderful to have little places to journal or add photos or do a little journaling with a little photo attached. And I slipped those right into this pocket. Also, I didn't mention these tags. I did sew around each of the large tag backgrounds. Let's see, did I miss anything on this? I think I got that all. And then when you turn the page here, this is an envelope, window envelope that I took the plastic out of the window because it was driving me crazy. And I added some watercolor squares up here, and again some vintage paper that I used Sam's stamp, and then this is one of Sam's labels, and some faux aged tape. Did a collage on the front of this, and then it opens like so, and another one of the journal cards, and then it opens again like so with another journal card on the back, some washi tape, and then this flips over, and this is all available and ready for journaling. I added a little piece of the fabric that's on the spine down here at the bottom, a little bit more washi tape, and then this is one of the French cottage backgrounds, and there's plenty of room for journaling there. So this is a whole little journaling area, or adding photos, whatever somebody would like to do. Over here I created a book page envelope pocket, and at the top of this tag I added a sari silk ribbon. This is one of Sam's little labels from one of the kits. I've added a piece of lace down here, and I've added some lace on the pocket, 2 different kinds of laces, and then a little bow. And inside the pocket I've added this image and just did a little collage, one of Sam's stamps, some washi tape, and then this image. I just love this image. I don't know why, but I love it. Again, some lace at the top, one of Sam's stamps, and used one of the cabinet cards on the back, but still plenty of room for journaling. So there's the, so you can see the back of the page here. It's a real pretty, like a mint green. I'm not sure how it's showing up in the camera. So I tucked those right in there. Next page, I took an envelope, a portion of an envelope, No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Sometimes I have to look. I don't remember. I took a portion of an envelope and I folded part of it up to make a pocket right here. And then there is another pocket. You can see that's the inside of the envelope is in there. That's the pocket. I added another piece of the spine fabric and another little label. I added this tag, some vintage paper, and my vintage typewriter. I typed some words out. Added this photo, or I keep saying photo, it is an image of a photo, on top of one of Sam's journal cards. Aged the back a little bit. Added polka dot sari. Tucked that inside that pocket. And then these two young ladies, again, one of Sam's stamps, and tucked that into that little pocket. Over here, I made a belly band out of a part of an envelope. I do believe this was the other part of this envelope over here. And let me take this out. You can't, the envelope part is not open. I'm stuttering. Trying to keep the glare off. The envelope part is not open. I just used the window and then collaged around it and added one of Sam's stamps. And then I added a tag. Again, a little sari silk. Tuck that behind. And then this image, I just added a background to it. I printed it back to back. And so someone could make a little journal out of this, or add photos, pockets, just a journaling spot, whatever they would like. And I tucked that into the belly band. And then over here, I just did basically two pockets, one out of vellum, and I did a decorative punch on the bottom, added a label, one of Sam's journal cards, and added a lace tab. And then over here I used a little piece of vintage wallpaper, and again one of Sam's journal cards with a lace tab, and tuck that inside. And then, let me take this out in a minute. On this tag background I added another little sari silk bow. I did 3 at the top. I did like every other one. I felt like if I put a bow on each page at the top, it's just gonna be a jumble. So I didn't want to do that. And then this is the last page. I added a pocket at the bottom with some lace, some crochet. Is that crochet? I'm not sure. Anyway, trim. And this is the background page on the tab. In the pocket, I added this image, and again, one of Sam's stamps on the bottom. And then I took this image, another piece of vintage paper over some lace with the word on it, Serenity. Up here, I just added a little brad to the corner. So this turns around, and then there could be a little secret journaling there. Just something a little different. And then on this page, you can see here's the background of the tag. And again, just some trim and one of Sam's labels. And then I created this tag on some vintage book page. This is actually something that I had in my stash. It was a piece of tracing paper that I had stamped a long time ago with the word Grace. And so I just put that on, and I love the way the tracing paper just kind of disappears. If you use a glue stick with tracing paper and you tear the tracing paper pretty close to whatever you're using to put on the image, it just kind of melts it into the background. So I like doing that. And a piece of H tape, some more ribbon, lace, some vintage lace, and I kind of put it at an angle, and then a ribbon out of some muslin ribbon. And I just did some book page on the back. Get that in there. And then that was it. That's the back of the tag book. The way I bound this book was with strips of muslin. You can't really, let me turn to another page. There. You don't really notice the muslin. I laid these strips of lace over each strip of muslin, but it is the muslin that is binding these pages together. And then you'll see the muslin on the back, and you just cover it with whatever you want. And I love it. I can't wait to try a journal with this. So anyway, that's my project. I hope you like it as much as I do, and I will see you in the next video. Stay well, be happy, and creative. Bye.